At the top of the world, air thins, time slows, and judgment blurs. On Mount Everest, a single decision, stopping for a photo, can tip the balance between survival and tragedy. Tonight, we follow the modern story of Everest, a mountain of dreams, a marketplace of ambition, and a mirror reflecting our need to be seen. Mount Everest rises 8,848 meters above sea level, the roof of the world. For early climbers, the summit was a frontier of the unknown. When Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay stood atop the peak in 1953, it wasn't fame they carried down the mountain. It was proof that the impossible could be done. But decades change mountains in unexpected ways. The challenge remains lethal. Jet stream winds, temperatures that can freeze skin in seconds, storms that arrive without warning. Yet the path is better mapped, the equipment more advanced, the logistics commercialized. What was once an expedition measured in months can now be purchased as a package, sequenced to a weather window, and posted to social media in real time. Everest still humbles climbers, but it also tempts travelers who mistake altitude for access. The higher we go, the more human limitations define the climb, and the less forgiving the mountain becomes. Most commercial attempts begin at base camp on the south side in Nepal, at roughly 5,300 meters. From here, teams shuttle loads through the Khumbu icefall, an ever-shifting maze of seracs and crevasses, up to Camp 1. They push to Camp 2 in the western CWM, then Camp 3 on the Lhotse face, where the angle steepens and every step bites into ice. Camp 4, perched near the South Col at nearly 8,000 meters, is a world above the world. Here, oxygen is scarce. The body is burning itself to stay alive. Teams rest as best they can, then leave in the night, headlamps in a line, aiming to reach the summit at dawn and descend before winds rise. The route narrows near the balcony, steepens past the south summit, and traverses a slender ridge toward a small angle of rock and snow, the true top of Earth. It is here, in the final hundreds of meters, that the modern Everest reveals its paradox. The most dangerous place on the mountain is also the most crowded. Above 8,000 meters is the death zone. At this altitude, oxygen is roughly a third of sea level. Muscles starve, thinking slows, risk perception warps. Even with supplemental oxygen, every movement is costly. Fingers and toes go numb. Frostbite can begin in minutes. Hydration and calorie intake lag far behind what the body burns. In the death zone, time is the enemy. No one truly survives there. They borrow hours against a debt that must be paid on the way down. If a bottleneck forms, those borrowed hours vanish. A stuck line means spent oxygen. Spent oxygen means confusion, collapse, and a climb that ends while standing, eyes open, in a world too thin to sustain life. In the last decade, something new arrived at the top of the world: the front-facing camera. A single image from the summit can ignite careers, endorsements, and viral reach. For many climbers, the photo becomes the proof, the certificate framed in pixels that says, "I was here." But at the apex, seconds matter. Taking off gloves to tap a screen, adjusting a mask for a smile, waiting for others to pose in a narrow bottleneck. No one intends to trade oxygen for likes. But that's what happens when 100 climbers converge during one small weather window. From a distance, the queue looks orderly. Helmets, down suits, bright ropes. Up close, it's a slow bleed of heat and oxygen. It's shivering hands that miss carabiners. It's eyes that drift out of focus. And it is the loss no camera captures. The turning point when a climber who needed to descend chose to wait. Accidents on Everest rarely have a single cause. They're cascades. A late start becomes a late summit. A late summit becomes a dark descent on exhausted legs. A jam at a ladder compounds into an oxygen shortage. In many seasons, climbers have collapsed within sight of the top or along the Hillary Step Ridge. Some sat down just to rest and never stood again. In debriefs, you hear the same small decisions echo. I waited for a photo. I removed my glove for the shot. We queued too long on the ridge. None of these choices sound fatal. In the death zone, they can be. Rescues above 8,000 meters are rare, brutal, and often impossible. Sherpas do the impossible more than once, but even heroes breathe the same thin air. When a line slows to take pictures, it is the strongest who shuttle for the weakest, burning their own hours to save someone else's minutes. Why do smart, disciplined people make risky choices so close to victory? Psychologists describe summit fever, a narrowing of focus that prizes reaching the top over every other priority. The mind discounts descent. The reward is now. The risk is abstract. Add the social layer, and the reward becomes public. A summit selfie promises a story that friends, brands, and strangers can like. That's a powerful loop. Effort, image, recognition. On Everest, that loop can bend judgment. None of this makes climbers shallow. They're human in a place that punishes human error. The paradox is painful. The more a moment matters to us, the more we want to capture it, and the more dangerous it may become to try. Behind every success on Everest are Sherpa climbers, ice doctors fixing ladders in the Khumbu icefall, high-altitude porters ferrying oxygen, guides who set lines before dawn. Their names are often a footnote. Their labor, the headline you never read. When lines back up near the summit, it is Sherpas who keep clients moving, who share oxygen, who turn people around when pride whispers 5 more minutes. They carry not just loads, but consequences. Of weather, of traffic, of someone's insistence on one more photo. Listen to veteran Sherpas and you'll hear simple rules. Move early. Don't wait in the death zone. Gloves stay on. Photos are quick. The mountain decides the rest. Everest is not just a peak. It's an economy. Outfitters compete, clients save for years, and governments issue permits. When weather windows shrink to a handful of days, competition compresses into a single ridge line. Calls for reform surface every season. Stricter experience requirements, better traffic management, more conservative turnaround times, communication protocols for queues. None of these remove risk, but collectively, they can buy the minutes that lives depend on. Because on Everest, efficiency is safety. Every unclipped camera, every pause for a pose is a tax paid in oxygen. You can't see the cost in a photo. You feel it halfway down when the mountain collects. Photos are how we remember. On Everest, memory and mortality sit side by side. The image from the top can be a symbol of discipline and years of training. It can also be the moment that pushed a climber one step too far. So what should the story be? Perhaps it's this. We honor the climb by respecting the cost. We take the picture only if the mountain allows it, quickly, safely, with descent already underway in our minds. Every summit day is a negotiation with time. When pride asks for one more shot, wisdom answers with one more step down. The highest point on Earth is also one of its deadliest. Everest doesn't punish vanity. It punishes delay. In a world obsessed with proof, the bravest act might be to pocket the phone, tighten the glove, and live to tell the story. If this changed the way you see Everest, subscribe to 60-Second Mysteries. We'll keep digging for the truths that survive the altitude.